There's no purple line in Washington, D.C. Yeah. I gave you just like a small sip test and wow. After getting enough sleep, I woke up to see the beautiful mountains of rural Kentucky. The Cardinal covered a lot of ground as this was a nearby garrison, and we're closing in on South Portsmouth and Ashland. I really appreciated the Appalachian atmosphere and aesthetics. It's definitely an extreme contrast compared to Washington, D.C., though it can be replicated to a certain degree when you're going out in Loudoun, Manassas, and Prince George's County. Prior to this, the only other instance that I went to the Appalachians would be at Harper's Ferry. I really do wish that there would be more Amtrak services in Kentucky, but as of right now, there's only 4 stations. 1 for the city of New Orleans service, and 3 for the Cardinal. Only time will tell if Kentucky wants to get an expansion. And of course it is up for the state as well. And as you can see, daylight's now creeping up a little bit more, and we are definitely close to crossing the Big Sandy River, which will be close to our break stop, which is Huntington, West Virginia. Alrighty, back in Huntington, West Virginia. Scenery's pretty. It's a lot less chilly than when I got out of Indianapolis. I think it had to do with just all the rain that was happening this past week. Seems like a pretty calm town. Nice and relaxed. And so I went back on a train, grabbed myself some breakfast, and was greeted with a giant flotilla of CSX trains. And not only that, I was also greeted with the morning views of West Virginia, which I absolutely appreciated looking at these morning views, because on the westbound Chicago trips, after Montgomery, you're going to see darkness and of course the street lights. So here in the morning when you're going eastbound, these views are absolutely phenomenal.
Montgomery, West Virginia. Our next station stop. Once we leave Montgomery, West Virginia, our next station stop will be Thurman, West Virginia. We'll be after Montgomery. So there's that. Montgomery coming up.
So this is Montgomery, West Virginia. It often trades with Alderson as being the least used station in West Virginia. Montgomery is a college town, but it used to be a much grander college town as it was a part of West Virginia University's Institute of Technology. Nowadays, a community college has taken over some of the campuses while others have remained dormant. It's interesting to see how much one thing can easily cause a huge ripple effect on a city, especially in a place like West Virginia. I say that because in Prince George's County in Maryland, they are losing the Commander Stadium. Well, we don't know about that yet. And they're losing Six Flags. But because of its close proximity to Washington, D.C., at least the areas of Landover and Bowie are not going to feel too much of an effect of it. The more I started to explore West Virginia through the windows of the Cardinal, the more I started to feel like I'm kind of in El Salvador. And granted, I've never went to El Salvador, which at some point I do need to, as a homage to my heritage. But both El Salvador and West Virginia, they both had a major boom because of their resources. They both split up because of a multitude of factors. They both, unfortunately, went into pretty gruesome civil wars. I generally do want to visit both of these places, both El Salvador and West Virginia, and actually do a much more thorough comparison to see if that does hold. And here we are nearby Clifton Forge, which hosts the least used station in Virginia. This ultimately means that we are almost close to heading home. We have now passed Culpeper, Virginia, and we are super close to heading home. The farmlands will now be lessened, and the more suburban and urban areas will become a little bit more frequent. Right there is the VRE and Broad Run Station. Yes, it is quite hidden, and it is quite a distance away from the Manassas Regional Airport, which is expected to have commercial flights coming in soon. So hopefully there will be some form of connectivity. And here we are finally in Manassas. Beautiful old town Manassas. And there we go, we finally see some metro tracks and the Great Waves Water Park. We are now back into my hometown of lovely Alexandria. Normally for northbound train trips, I will disembark here in Alexandria at the ALX. It's an absolutely beautiful station, yes, with all the bias in the world. Though I will say that if you do onboard in Alexandria, chances are you might not get all the good seats because a lot of it gets taken at Union. So if you do want to get the good seats, go to Union, then you can drop off at Alexandria. That's pretty much the rule of thumb. And so we will be dropping off at Alexandria. You'll find out. Alright, finally get to say goodbye to the Cardinal. Finally back home, super familiar territory. What next? Well, for starters, I have had enough of meme transits, so yeah. I think one meme transit is more than enough for me. Yep. I mean, seriously. One thing I do gotta do is get some groceries. That being said, that will pretty much do it for the entire series of Indianapolis and Cardinal craziness. Be sure to leave a like, a subscription, and any comments you got. Otherwise, y'all have a wonderful and awesome day. Bye-bye.
Center of the car. The next stop is College Park, University of Maryland.
Yeah, this is totally Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Right there's the pagoda. Right there's the grandstands. And right there is the high speed. Normally I would be kind of shocked at how impressive it is built, but then again, I was here before for the very first video, the Loop of DC video. Sequel is coming soon. Also, I'm surprised that there's no Animal Crossing music being played here. So now it's been more than a month since I've done my travel of Indianapolis and used the Amtrak Cardinal. And after letting it sit through, after doing a lot of editing, what has kind of changed since then? Well, for starters, in terms of the race, Alex Palou has won at least the Indianapolis 500. Then Kyle Kirkwood won 2 races following that, and then another race was won by Alex Palou at Road America. Then after that, there were some other controversies going on with the Indy 500, which I'll go ahead and mention that in the list. But that's pretty much it in terms of the IndyCar side, just to get up to speed. I'm in no way like a racing pundit or anything, I'm just a fan. And the same thing can be said that I am no way a transit expert, I am just a transit user. Which leads me into my next segment, what's going on with Indigo. Well, so far they are still building the blue line. Not much changes except for their fares. They are going to go ahead and increase that to a full $1 for all of their services. They're going to be cutting off certain passes as well, which I will detail in a list right now. And for the most part, that's pretty much it for what's going on with IndyCar and Indigo. So I didn't go into full detail as to what Indigo's BRT is, and I'll say this, it is a lot better than all the other 3 BRTs that I have used. Obviously it's like miles and miles better than Flash. A lot better than the Metroway. And I'll say that it is quite a step up from Richmond's Pulse BRT as well. But there are certainly a lot of flaws that I do have to mention. Aside from the fact that nobody knows how to drive and we almost got into fender benders, that is what it is. There's no signal priority, and even though a lot of the lanes are separated from the traffic lanes, which to better explain that, I'll just post a couple of pictures right now up there. So yeah, it's kind of intermingled with traffic. But overall, the system is actually pretty solid. It punched above its weight, and the way Indigo designed it, they had a lot of light rail in mind. And since Indianapolis, and I believe the state of Indiana, is not allowing it, as a matter of fact, they literally banned that thing, you might as well just make as good of a BRT as you can. Just make it really good. And they did. Certainly a lot of flaws, but I'll say it definitely does punch above its weight. I will give this a 6 out of 10, which roughly it's going to be 3 stars. Now, I imagine it's been done multiple times before. So, is it possible to night owl a Cardinal from DC to Indianapolis? Yes, it is. If the train runs well, we don't run into issues, which I was very lucky to have not gotten into any issues. You'll be at Indy at around 5-ish a.m. And thankfully they don't have to like do that daylight savings thing. They decided, okay, we'll just keep in line with the East Coast, which is good. At least it's gonna be, when I paid it, it was like $76 for each trip, which is actually not a bad price. Again, you do get like a lot of good views. The only thing is that a lot of the seats are controlled. And by that I mean, just for their organization, they have to make sure that you're sitting in a specific spot, so that way when you offboard, you don't have to get into like say a bunch of traffic. And I was fortunate enough to get both window seats for both rides, even though it's not the one that I really wanted to get. At least it gives a different perspective, because all the other YouTubers got it from one area, which is absolutely beautiful, but it's definitely beautiful on the other side that I filmed on. There's 3, at least, rest breaks, smoke breaks, stretch breaks, whatever you call it. That's Charlottesville, Huntington, and Cincinnati. So for Cincinnati, it's going to be way late at night or super early in the morning. And at that point, I really did want to at least get a view of Cincinnati, but I was just so tired at that time. Now also, in case you are interested in ticketing for the races, there is a general access pass, which is like roughly between $40 to $50, and you're only going to be sitting on the grassy mounds, which is fine, but if you don't want to get sunburned, you got to get some shade. That is a must. Otherwise, I prefer the flex pass, where you can sit on the grandstands. You can find a good place to sit. Obviously, I wouldn't sit where the pagoda is, just because the sun will hit you during that time. But where I was sitting on the other part for the main event, the sun didn't really hit us that much. Now, I definitely want to come back to Indy, and I really don't know like what the future is, but if I can only do a one-day trip, then that's fine. But if I can do multiple days, I definitely would, and then explore more of Indianapolis. And I especially want to come back to Indianapolis when it's not a racing day, because it's so awesome to kind of see a city evolving and trying to get a good step to, you know, just reinvent themselves. But I will say, I really do hope that they figure out a way to solve their road problems, because yeah, that was the bumpiest rides I've ever taken on the roads. One thing I omitted is, and I'm kind of speaking blasphemy because of the state that I'm currently filming in, and that is I was making a lot of comparisons between Indy and Baltimore, but I kind of had, I was going back and forth trying to compare them, not because of like say what happened on that fateful day in 1984, but it's like there's like other significant differences. Like They have a metro. I'm sorry, I mean the Maryland MTA Baltimore Metro subway and light rail links. And Indigo only just has their BRT system. So I was leaning more on just comparing it with Richmond. But to compare those two cities between like Indy and Baltimore, at least on the ground level, because I'm in no way an expert, they both have dealt with a similar type of setback over the years due to the world changing. They're both trying to do their best to address a lot of gaps that have kind of plagued them for the past few years. Though statewide, there is always going to be a back and forth. Both Maryland and the state of Indiana, they're still in that like, and technically I'm speaking for like literally everything else here in this country, like the current like political situation. But alas, they're doing everything to at least modernize and try not to get too far behind. Effectively, they're pretty much major cities. So finally, that will bookend a long series of pretty much cool events that I've done at Indianapolis. I'm super grateful and thankful to have done it, especially in this current economic climate. It was nail-biting, but I'm still here. Trust me, I am not going to make that long of a series. And then again, I'm probably going to go back on my word. But it's a work in progress. I've done YouTubing at least 11 years ago, but in a blog style. It's a little bit different for me. So this is literally my first year doing blogging. But for now, it's more DC exploring, especially in the next video that I'm going to be doing. But for now, thank you everybody for supporting me. May y'all have a fantastic day. Subscribe for more. Bye bye.